All right, we're back in house here with Vince Lombardi and Curly Lambeau here at Appalachian. I'm just kidding, guys. But hey, it's got to feel like that to you guys, being undefeated, sitting here. You've had a week off. The playoffs is here. A lot of great things is going on. But I don't have to tell you two cats. Y'all know if you don't get it done this week and every week moving forward, all this could end. But let's start right there with this week off and how you guys have used that to prepare for these playoffs coming up.
We've kind of used it as a time to get some rest and get some of our kids that are a little banged up, some time off. And of course, we took one day because our girls made history, making the Final Four in volleyball, and we wanted our football team and all those boys to be down there to celebrate with their classmates so we had to cancel probably what was the best day to practice, last week with all the rain that we had. Last Tuesday when they were, down in Birmingham. So, trying to avoiding the rain and getting guys healthy. It's but we're ready to play football now. So. We're looking forward to Friday night. That's it's hard to keep them motivated when they don't have nothing to look forward to on Friday. Right now they're chomping at the bit and we're ready to go also.
Absolutely.
Like Coach Beard said, last week was a light week. We had a little more fun and cutting up and joking than we typically do on a game week, and like I said, let the kids get healthy. And like I said, did have a chance to go support our girls, and it's last 2 weeks have been really big here at Appalachian through our sports. Girls they went farther than any volleyball team we ever had here, and the boys we're stepping into uncharted territory, I guess you'd say, being 10-0, looking at 12 and 10-0, looking at 11-0, hoping to go 12-0 and continue that streak. It's like I said, just a fun week. Let them heal up. Like I said, a little more cut up, a little more lightheartedness, and like I said, then Monday turn around and it's work day again, and then going back, getting serious and healed up, ready to go.
What's you guys' thoughts on an off week like that? Do you guys install? Some people don't. They wait till the week of so it'll be fresh, or how do y'all handle that?
We, in that off week, like I said, did a little install, looked at upcoming opponents, really used it just to make us better.
Yeah.
Get healthy, make us better, and kind of continue in from that.
Yeah, we've been looking at opponents that we know we're probably going to see at some point, if we continue to go, and we took a lot of last week and looked at Shoals. We've kind of looked at second round opponents, kind of what they do, and kind of mix some of that stuff in, and third round opponents also, because you can never be too prepared for what you're going to see. So this has really been a big opportunity. That's the reason that I told Neil that that week 10 bye week was always important for me, because I want to be able to use that time and kind of get prepared, and there's benefits to bye weeks anytime, but that really lets you have an extra week to get some of those guys that are just a little banged up ready right before the playoffs. You're not going into a non-region game and playing somebody that's not going to playoffs and end up getting somebody hurt or something. Mm-hmm. So it was an important week. He says we cut up, but I don't really know how to cut up when we're on the field. So I mean, it was full go for me. We've hit defense really hard. Kind of working on some stuff that we hadn't been successful with. Different coverages and to give some people some different looks that we know that we're going to need. The further that we go, because normally we can we can get in there and we can out-athlete people. But the further you go, there's going to be just as good athletes on the other side of the ball as what you have. So, we've kind of used this week to kind of prepare for what lays in front of us the rest of this 5 weeks.
I was on a show last night with guys near Mobile area. They were asking me all kind of questions about y'all. Y'all are like a mystery, to them. They don't know, and they's like, how good are they? What kind of run can they do? They ask all these questions off the air, and then when we went on the air, they asked some questions. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good thing to have, though, because you got people. Well, first of all, they noticing you, and then second of all, you are kind of a mystery to people. Talk about that a little bit and how you can play that undercar, under roll, whatever, David versus Goliath. You guys can actually use that as motivation.
Well, I've always, looked at somebody like Kirby Smart or somebody that he can convince his guys. They were the heralded, national champion when they won it. Was it 21 or whenever it was? Well, he had his players. I don't know if you remember the interview at the end of the college football. Oh, y'all had us going 8-4. There was nobody in the world had them going 8-4. Well, our kids are about the same way. I mean, we have to convince them every week that, hey, you're an underdog. You've got to play with a chip on your shoulder, because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, what anybody thinks about us or what, because what matters is the people in that huddle at the end of the game. We're worried about those guys and how how they react and. I saw an interview on somebody, and I guess I saw it posted on Facebook too. The great thing about us is, I think it was Coach Wallace. It was at, was he at UNA in West Alabama? Or, he said that, they won the D3 championship or something, and had 2 players that were up for, the Heisman, or the D3 version of the Heisman, and he's, had to pick one. And with our guys, they don't care who gets trophies. They just want they want the results as a team. Our linemen look at it as, hey, when Braden was going, if he's getting stuff, then they're doing their jobs. And now Sam gets some accolades and stuff, and Caldwell, and those guys. So those linemen take that and put that on their shoulder too. So As far as mystery goes, I kind of like being the mysterious bunch, because I hope the people in the South get to find out about us.
Oh yeah.
In December. So.
Well, they're asking questions. That's a good thing.
Like referring back to what Coach Beard said, about our backs and what they did when our lineman was doing so good. When you start hearing your skill guys thank your linemen, and start seeing them patting them on the back, that's
it's a blessing.
It is. It's a blessing. It's something where they're realizing it from each other, and there's, like I said, there's no animosity there. There's no greed. After Braden Gillan went out, when we were at Valley Head, and we just went undefeated, we were talking about it and talking about the holes that were being blown, and it was kind of started out as a joke about we go undefeated and they're going to get ice cream party. And then it became we're going to have Baskin Robbins. So we had a chance to get Baskin Robbins. And,
oh, awesome.
And in the process of it, Sam stood him after he stepped in after Braden left. They blocked really well, and he was kind of jumping around the locker room and said, hey, after this, I want to make sure that my linemen get 2 scoops of ice cream, not just one.
That's awesome.
So, one more thing. I just like to pick. I mean, there's not too many other 1A schools. Speaking of our linemen, they can do what we've done, either with, third game of the year we're at Locust Fork and your starting right guard blows his ACL. Then you have another guy step in. Well, then my nephew, has a high ankle sprain at Woodville. Well, we just stick another guy in there, and we're still rushing for
very rare,
350 yards. I mean,
especially in 1A.
That's what I'm saying. 1A football, we got guys that are just rotating in and not missing a beat. So that says a lot about the mentality of those guys.
And then a generational player goes down at running back. You still running the football.
Yeah,
That tell you something right there. Let's dive in before we shut down. Obviously, we got to dive into Shoals. What have y'all seen from them on film? And I got to looking at some of their numbers and things. They look like a better football team than even their record shows.
They're young. They're starting an 8th grade quarterback, 7th grade running back. They don't have a
7th grade running back.
They don't have a senior that starts. They have one junior, and everybody else is 10th and below.
That's wild, man.
And they don't start very many. I think they start maybe 3 10th graders.
Wow.
And the rest, I mean, so they're young and they're on the upswing. They throw it, okay, and got some guys can go get it. But again, they're young, so our worry is right now playing on Friday. Does that change their game plan from throwing it 80% of the time to now they gotta try to run it behind them guys and
y'all haven't moved your game, Chris.
we haven't.
Yeah.
They can't find transportation right now, which is I guess it's tougher for them because they don't have transportation at school like we do. We could play right now if we had to go up there, but they can't find transportation right now, so they are still gonna come to us Friday night right now. So that could change the next hour or so, but.
I don't think it'll be as bad as everybody's thinking anyways.
Like I said, that being young, you just never know what you're gonna get with those young guys. So
that sometimes they don't know they're not supposed to be there.
Exactly. That's
I've seen that happen.
We got a few of those kids on our team that we always joke that they don't know what the moment is. They just go play football.
Right.
And that when you're young, that's all you do. You're just going to play football. So you never know what you're going to get when you play a really young team like that.
That's right. Same question. What have you seen from Shoals? Anything that's kind of jumped off on film from you, maybe from a defensive standpoint they do or whatever?
Well, like I said, I know their coach didn't get there till late July, so he didn't have a summer and didn't have a lot of time prepared getting into the season. And they are very young, and you can see some progression in them from game one to the end. And they, as young as they are, they were able to get 4 games in and 4 wins, and they was able to make the playoffs. So they're going to be trending upward. And like I said, the transportation issue, we've talked to their administration, and with them being a private school, they don't own a bus.
They don't have a cheese wagon for.
They don't have one, so they're working on trying to get some stuff rescheduled. And like I said, defensively, they got a couple of kids they're pretty scrappy, and like I said, they're receivers. Work hard to get it, but at the end of the day, experience is king in a lot of places. And then they're just young. Now, a couple of years from now, these kids stick together, and it's going to be a different story. But like I said, their coach is doing. I think he's doing some good things with those kids, and like I said, you can see a change from early in the year to now with them, and like I said, I think that's just going to build on. But at the end of the day, they're young, and like I said, experience will come.
Yeah. Before we shut it down, just kind of final thoughts.
Oh man, it's like I said, it's been big getting in these playoffs. We've made 10-0. Our goal is another 5-0, and like I said, a lot of these kids have stepped up in times of need. Went into situations that they're not used to. Times with a 1A, you have to rob Peter to pay Paul, per se. Running back goes down, now you got to take this starter and move him, and it's not just a plug and play. Lots of times it's a restructure everything, and our kids have been really resilient through that. And like I said, kind of an adversity thing through the year. We are getting a new gym here on campus. The problem is that took our practice field, so we don't have one. One has been under construction for quite a while, but So our kids, adversity from that point on, and practiced sometimes on the band field, sometimes on the game field, sometimes on the baseball field, and then the adversity of losing kids. And the thing about it is, two of the kids that we had lost, like Braden for the season, was one of our leaders in our leaders program, and Eli Beard's another leader we have on and off the field in the locker room. And lost him to that high ankle for just a little bit. And even when the leadership steps out and they can't be there on the field with them, we've had kids step up. And another thing I want to talk about, proud moment for all of us, especially for Coach Beard. His nephew Eli Beard was invited to the North-South All-Star game, and that's the first player from Appalachian we've ever had the opportunity to go there. And like I said, not only is it proud for me as a coach and family friend, and I know for Coach Beard as a coach also, like I said, it's of course my family friend, it's his family, and just proud of that situation, proud of that young man.
Yeah, we again, we think our community, that Woodville game, there wasn't a place to be had up here on the mountain. The bleachers were full, the hill was full. It's awesome how our community gets behind our sports programs. And you hear the same thing about the volleyball games when I wasn't able to go because we had so many teachers that got kids on it that we couldn't get enough subs up here. But it was awesome to see the representation of Straight Mountain down there rooting them on. One thing I want to touch on is we're undefeated for the first time ever. But if you really look at how we got here, it starts with when Neil and I took over to kind of co-lead this thing about 5 years ago. We were kind of jumping in this, blind, and after the second year we were in the playoffs. We go to Addison as the 3 seed, I think, is where we ended up, 3 seed, and had the flu hit us. And what we knew from that point on, that if we wanted to continue that same model, we had to establish leadership. And I think back to the reason we are the way we are is because we started that leadership group. We had some guys, Sean Curtis, Andrew Cooper, Brody Alexander, Carter Johnson. Some of those guys have already left our program, and they laid the foundation because they mentored these younger guys. They got them in the weight room. We give them groups. This is the guys that you need to be in charge of. Make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. I can remember Jackson Hicks dragging his kids in there at 6 a.m. when we open that weight room and we have early morning workouts. We give them the option 6 a.m. or you stayed after school, and those leaders would be dragging those kids in. They'd go pick them up. They'd drive all over the mountain just to make sure they were there. And that's a big deal. But because of their leadership, we are where we are. 9-3 last year, 10-0 right now. We're doing things that hadn't been done, here in a long time, and I want to make sure that they know how appreciative we are of them. That's, without those guys showing what leadership was, we wouldn't be where we are, hosting the first round playoff for back-to-back years, being 10-0, being number 7 in the state. There's a lot of good things happening right now, and like I said, that foundation was laid about 3 years ago with those guys.
Man, I appreciate you guys, and I got to witness the volleyball run myself. That was awesome. Got to get you guys some pictures of that. So that was real fun right there. And good luck to you guys on Friday, if it stays Friday. If not, Thursday. And I'm sure I'll be seeing you guys back here next week. I'm calling it. Y'all ain't predicting, I am. Y'all have a good one, brother.
All right.